Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 474 based on novel. So let's start. Although Wang Lin's thunder essence had reached completion, it was still incomplete. However, with the power of his new blood, the imperfection disappeared and his thunder suddenly became celestial thunder. Real celestial thunder. The golden fire in his left eye was only at the ethereal state and was far away from becoming Dao fire. However, as the power from his new blood rushed in, the fire suddenly evolved to an ethereal fire beyond any other fire. Real celestial fire. Just the celestial fire and celestial thunder were enough for Wang Lin to kill any early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator. Even mid-stage Nirvana Void cultivators wouldn't last for too long before they would also die. Even late-stage Nirvana Void cultivators would be shaken by this celestial fire and thunder and would choose to retreat. As the new blood created by the bone marrow flowed through Wang Lin's body, the remaining three essences, life and death, karma and true and false, began to slowly reach perfection. They only needed the opportunity to reach the Grand Tao. The appearance of the Madman was like a great fortune comparable to the inheritance he had obtained at the land of the ancient god. It was enough to change his life. This great fortune was still not over yet. Wang Lin's mind was clear, but he still couldn't move at all. He silently felt the changes in his body. This completely different feeling made him speculate a few things. The new blood that was created from his bone marrow gave off an extremely powerful aura. It was celestial spiritual energy. As the blood flowed through his body, his origin soul was rapidly changing. What Wang Lin didn't know was that in the four celestial realms, even the four celestial emperors, like Qing Lin, would be mere mortals compared to him. The bloodline inside Wang Lin had reached a heaven-shaking level. However, his body was extremely special, something that had never been seen before. His body was that of the ancient god, an inheritance from the ancient order. However, his bloodline had been changed by that madman to become the bloodline of a celestial. This kind of thing was simply too rare. The two completely opposite forces continued to bombard each other. Although the ancient order power was suppressed, the celestial blood couldn't destroy it. As a result, Wang Lin's body was incomplete. During this incomplete process, his lower body was rapidly recovering and being destroyed. His origin soul was also sober but imprisoned. If this continued, Wang Lin would be a living dead person, or he would be refined into a heavenly treasure. This treasure would be something both the ancient order and the celestials could use. At this time, he had to make a choice. He had to choose between the previous ancient order heritage and give up this shocking fortune, or this new fortune and give up the ancient order inheritance that had accompanied him for most of his life. It was a very difficult choice. Even if Wang Lin wanted to choose, he couldn't. His origin soul was unable to move, as it had separated from his body to some degree. Damn it, I'm tired to death. At this moment, the madman who had passed out due to excessive blood loss woke up. Although he looked tired, he excitedly looked at Wang Lin. After taking a look, the excitement on the madman's face faded and was replaced with endless anger. Damn you! You still haven't recovered. This old man's blood, this blood can be traded for so many things. So much blood, All that blood I gave you is enough to get that 7-colored chick. If my big brother knew, he would go crazy, The madman sprang up and grabbed Wang Lin's shirt. He began shaking Wang Lin like crazy. Return my blood. You took this king's blood but still haven't recovered. You're trying to anger me. Little you, take this guy out and chop his head off. The madman roared, still feeling angry. He stared at Wang Lin and directly bit Wang Lin's shoulder. He let out a growl like a mad dog. This king is going to bite you to death, bite you to death. After messing around for a while, the madman was breathing hard. His eyes were red and his expression became fierce. He stared at Wang Lin and loosened his bite, then he covered his mouth and let out painful groans. I hate the ancient nation cultivators, their bodies are too hard. This king's teeth are killing me. Little Red, go to the Jew family to fetch that something this king forgot. Quickly, go. If they won't give it, tell them I'll get my big brother to steal it tomorrow. The madman walked to the side while muttering and letting out painful groans. He then turned to stare at Wang Lina and gradually showed signs of going crazy again. I just refuse to believe this. You wait, let me think. The madman's blood-red eyes flashed, and after thinking for a while, he still couldn't think of anything. Feeling even more irritated, he roared at Wang Lin. Ordinary people couldn't understand the anger of a madman. The longer he couldn't think of what to do, the more angry he became. Finally, he raised his right hand, grabbed his left arm, and tore it off his body. There was no blood, and the wound was extremely smooth. While holding his left arm, he didn't even look at it. He stared at Wang Lin and said some words even he himself couldn't understand. He waved his right hand and the left arm he had ripped off landed, giving off a thunderous rumble. His right hand moved faster and faster and the rumble became even more intense. In the end, the madman jumped up and began to curse Wang Lin. This cursing lasted for several days. Only when the madman's mouth was dry did he get tired and stop. He put his left arm back on his body and there was a flash of gold. A round rune appeared on the wound. It gave off an ancient aura and looked very complicated. Just looking at it would make one lose themselves. This rune gave off the aura of the origin of the world. It was strange and mysterious. Looking at the rune on the wound on his left arm, the madman was startled for a moment. Soon, a bright light appeared in his eyes. That's it, ha ha, that's it. The madman licked his lips and rubbed his hands. He ran excitedly to Wang Lin's side. In his view, this corpse was his toy. He had to find some fun to ease the boredom. However, a person that goes crazy from playing around would be extremely terrifying. How could this king forget the three prints of the celestial ancestors? Ha ha, the three prints of the celestial ancestors. Yes, that's it. The madman felt like his blood was boiling. He looked at Wang Lin while giggling. However, there was a flash of confusion in his eyes. Something seems wrong. It seems that my big brother said that even if I die, I can't give the three prints of the celestial ancestor to anyone not of my celestial clan. He even forced me to swear on it. I can give small amounts of blood to people, but the three prints of the celestial ancestors can't be given to others. The madman began to hesitate and looked down on Wang Lin. That doesn't seem right. Maybe Big Brother said that the three prints of the celestial ancestors can be given to anyone. Which is it? The madman frowned and raised his right hand to knock on his own head. The more he knocked, the more confused he became. This king has to listen to my big brother's words. The image can be given to others, that's right, it can be given like this. The madman solemnly nodded. That's right, even Little Red said that my memory is very good and can't be wrong. The madman became excited again after muttering to himself. He licked his lips and then quickly formed a few seals. The entire cultivation planet trembled and the madman's body also trembled violently. The round rune that had appeared on the wound on his left arm gradually appeared between his eyebrows. The heavens and earth open, the ancestors descend. The three prints form immorality for all generations. First prince summons the heavens. Second prince summons the Tao. Third prince summons. What does it summon? Little Red, what does the third prince summon? The madman froze and shook his head. Forgot. Damn it, this king's memory is too good, I will definitely remember, he muttered as his right hand hit the area between his eyebrows. An aura rushed out, then an indescribably powerful force rushed out and filled the world inside the nether beast. With a roar, the madman's right hand reached out and seemed to dig out the mark between his own eyebrows. He then pressed it down between Wang Lin's ancient god stars. Three prints of the celestial ancestor, power of the celestial clan's immortal body. At the moment the madman's right hand fell on Wang Lin, an unimaginable power erupted from Wang Lin's body. His body shot toward his head and collided with the madman's right hand. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The madman coughed out a mouthful blood and was thrown into the distance. When he landed, he felt confused and muttered, I seem to remember. It can't be taught. In particular, not to the 3 members of the Ancient Order clan, as it would cause a lot of trouble. Hey, why is this king worried? This king didn't teach anything. This king's memory is very good, and I definitely didn't teach. Thinking about this, his eyes rolled over and he fainted. Wang Lin's body shook and his eyelids trembled rapidly. His mind roared, he clearly felt the madman's movement. Just as the madman pressed his hand down, Wang Lin felt the Ancient Order power he had suppressed erupt as if it had gone crazy. You madman! Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, a round mark appeared between his eyebrows. This mark was almost exactly the same as the one the madman had. The appearance of this mark immediately made the new blood in his body surge as if it was boiling. Originally, the power from the blood and the Ancient Order power had reached an equilibrium. Although the blood held the advantage, it couldn't destroy the Ancient Order power. However, the appearance of this mark set off the beacon of war. This caused Wang Lin's bloodline power to suddenly surge and try to destroy his Ancient Order power. As a result, the Ancient Order power that had been suppressed erupted in a berserk counterattack. And Wang Lin's body became a battlefield of life and death. The power of the bloodline was an outsider that had just fused with Wang Lin, unlike the Ancient Order power that had accompanied him almost all his life. The fierce battle between the two had reached a terrifying degree. One of the stars between Wang Lin's eyebrows collapsed, and a surge of Ancient Order power entered his body and his body quickly recovered. However, just as his body recovered, the mark between his eyebrows suddenly released a powerful force, causing Wang Lin's body to collapse. This collapse was a complete collapse. His arms, legs, whole body, including his head and original soul, all collapsed. However, before his flesh and blood scattered far, an extremely pure celestial spiritual energy rapidly condensed into a blurry figure. This blurry figure was an origin soul. However, this wasn't the origin soul of a cultivator but that of a true celestial origin. After the celestial origin appeared, all the scattered flesh and blood immediately gathered to form a body. This body was crystal smooth and gave off endless celestial spiritual energy. It also gave off a powerful aura. However, the moment this body appeared, it trembled and collapsed again along with another star between Wang Lin's eyebrows. The celestial body collapsed, and as the blood and flesh splattered, a powerful surge of Ancient Order energy appeared. The flesh and blood quickly gathered and a 10,000-foot ancient god suddenly appeared. However, before the ancient god body appeared for long, it collapsed once more. Wang Lin suffered unimaginable pain. His Ancient Order power was on the weaker side, so it had to rely on shattering his stars. He no longer had a choice. The ancient god power inside him was going to turn into a storm that would destroy everything. He felt like when that time came, he would without a doubt die. He had to maintain balance and make them fuse. Otherwise, this fortune would become a life or death calamity. The 7th star collapsed and the 7th celestial conversion happened. Now all 7 stars had shattered, and all of this had happened in an instant. Every shattered star caused the Ancient Order power inside his body to increase greatly. After 7 stars broke, the Ancient Order power inside Wang Lin was heaven-shaking. Just at this moment, the 8th cycle began. What Wang Lin shattered was the vortex that hadn't formed into a star yet. A thunderous rumble echoed and his body quickly changed between Ancient Order and Celestial for the 8th time. After the 8th time, Wang Lin would face the fact that he had no stars left to shatter. His ancient god body suddenly exploded, and as his flesh and blood splattered, the celestial spiritual energy appeared once more to form the celestial body that had collapsed several times. Immortal celestial body. This immortal body came from the celestial ancestor body. It was because of the mark that Wang Lin had this immortal body. The mark between his eyebrows flashed and the celestial spiritual energy inside his body became even more intense. His bone marrow created even more blood that circulated through his body. It seemed like the celestial body was going to completely suppress his ancient god body. However, all of this was far from over. If Wang Lin was only an ancient god before he got the Ancient Order inheritance, then, at the last moment, he would lose his ancient god inheritance, become a real celestial, and then die from his body exploding. However, this ancient god inheritance was that of a royal ancient god. And it was also the ancient order inheritance. The mark not only changed his bloodline but also triggered the ancient order inheritance in his body. Just like what the Madman had said, this mark couldn't be given to outsiders and definitely couldn't be given to the 3 clans from the ancient nation. A roar came from Wang Lin's mouth and countless cracks appeared on his celestial body. At the same time, the ancient order power inside him surged. Although there was no star left to shatter, this surge seemed to have caused Wang Lin's second trial to arrive early. The second trial arriving early was completely due to the will of the ancient order power inside Wang Lin when it was faced the possibility of being driven out. There were 2 vague wills inside Wang Lin's body, one ancient order and one celestial. The collision of these 2 wills was the cause of all of Wang Lin's fortune and danger. The early arrival of the second trial caused countless cracks to appear on the celestial body, then the body exploded. The power of the explosion collided with the power of the second trial. The 2 powers frantically destroyed each other, wanting to wipe each other out. At this moment, it was as if everything, including Wang Lin's origin soul, was going to be destroyed. Heaven shaking. Wang Lin's whole body began to disintegrate. His ancient god flesh and blood entered the planet, causing the ground to tremble. Waves of invisible ripples spread. These ripples caused all the mountains to collapse, making the entire continent as flat as a mirror. His celestial body collapsed and shot into the sky with his broken origin soul. The sky seemed to separate from the world inside the nether beast, and after it replaced everything, the sky was golden. The heavens and earth had changed. Golden sky and black earth. This was like something out of a myth, but it appeared right now. The Madman had awakened and was lying there, watching all of this. He rubbed his eyes and muttered, "Has this king's eyes gone bad? Golden sky and black earth. Isn't this the first sign of the celestial ancestor descending that my big brother talked about?" Just at this moment, a heaven-shattering roar came from the earth. The entire earth trembled as if a power was erupting outward. The Madman saw a giant black shadow come out of the ground. It was like a mountain, and it shot toward the sky. The giant shadow was as tall as the heavens itself. It was an ancient god. It looked exactly like Wang Lin. His 7 stars were rotating rapidly and he waved his giant fist toward the sky. At this moment, the golden light made the sky look like a golden ocean, and a golden figure walked out of it. This golden figure was filled with celestial spiritual energy and gave off a majestic aura. He coldly stared at the ancient god rushing up and waved his sleeves, setting off endless golden ripples. From afar, it looked as if the person in the sky was wearing a very large, golden cloak, but this cloak was the entire sky. This person also looked like Wang Lin. The round mark emitted endless golden light, and with a wave of his hand, he charged at the ancient god. The 2 Wang Lins closed in an instant as if they were going to fight to the death. They got close and closer. In a flash, the 2 Wang Lin collided. Just as they were about to collide like 2 mountains crashing into each other, a ghostly light flickered between them. This ghostly light was a bead that was only the size of a baby's fist. The heaven-defying bead appeared once more. The Madman that was lying there suddenly opened his eyes and stared this bead. He muttered, It seems very, very important, as if even my big brother is looking for it. This object, I forgot. What is it? Little Red, what is that? A thunderous bang echoed. The power of the golden sky and black earth collided with the heaven-defying bead. The heaven-defying bead slowly rotated. After one rotation, the golden sky was instantly absorbed by the heaven-defying bead. Then a golden body suddenly appeared outside the heaven-defying bead. The heaven-defying bead rotated again. On the second rotation, the ancient god was absorbed just like the golden sky. The ancient god power permeated the golden celestial origin and formed the body of an ancient god. However, this ancient god body gave off a faint golden glow. He was Wang Lin. Time seemed to stop at this moment. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. His left eye contained a golden dog and his right eye had a bolt of golden thunder. The round mark between his eyebrows had disappeared and the 7 ancient god stars were rotating in its place, but those 7 stars were now golden. Golden stars. The moment he opened his eyes, his body trembled and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He viciously stared at the madman that was in a daze before he took a step and fell to the ground. He then closed his eyes and began to cultivate. The madman trembled and pretended he didn't see anything. He continued to whistle and look at the other direction. However, he was observing Wang Lin's reaction from the corner of his eye. The madman continued to observe Wang Lin's reaction. He scratched his head and carefully walked close. He rubbed his hand and revealed a mischievous smile. "Let's talk. What is your name? Tell this king and this king will reward you." Wang Lin responded with silence and continued to cultivate with his eyes closed. "You won't speak? You dare to not speak?" When Little Red was caught by me, he also didn't speak, and I pulled out all his hair. "Can you guess what happened?" the madman chattered, then he walked even closer. He sat across from Wang Lin and began chatting. "You can't guess. This king gave Little Red. Ha ha. Ha." The madman began laughing like crazy while holding his stomach. After laughing for a long time, he viciously stared at Wang Lin. "Why didn't you laugh? Was the king not funny? When this king speaks, even the Li family has to laugh. If you don't dare to laugh, then I'll find my big brother. It seems as if I haven't told you what I did to Little Red. Why don't you ask me what I did to Little Red? HMPH, even if you don't ask, this king will still tell you. Back then. I forgot." The madman frowned and knocked his head. His eyes were filled with confusion. "Damn it, why did I forget again?" Once the madman began to chatter. It was almost endless, and he spoke for a few days non-stop, becoming more and more excited as time went on. His only regret was that Wang Lin was only listening and didn't cooperate by answering. However, having a living creature to speak to was already very satisfying. He spoke endlessly, like a mosquito, and the sound lingered for a long time. Wang Lin didn't hear a single word. His body was in a chaotic state. His ancient god body was outside and his celestial origin was inside, acting as his origin soul. Even deeper, the heaven-defying bead was slowly rotating. Going by mortal time, it would take 12 hours for the heaven-defying bead to rotate once. The origin energy inside his body had collapsed and disappeared without a trace. What replaced it was the dense celestial spiritual energy that came from the new blood made by his bone marrow. This celestial spiritual energy was far stronger than his origin energy, even though there was far less of it than his origin energy. If his original origin energy was like a mighty river, then his celestial spiritual energy was like a stream. Although this was the case, this small amount of celestial spiritual energy shook Wang Lin's mind. He could feel a terrifying aura coming from this celestial spiritual energy. Due to the collapse of the 7 stars, the second trial had started early. However, before the power of the second trial could erupt, it was absorbed by the heaven-defying bead. Right now, his physical strength was several times stronger than before. Every beat of his heart seemed to create an invisible wave that could shake the surrounding area. A feeling of power erupted inside Wang Lin's body. He was confident that not even late-stage Nirvana Void cultivators would be able to escape from him. Perhaps a peak Nirvana Void cultivator would have the power to battle him. Right now he was a fusion of Celestial and Ancient Order, an extremely rare mutation among the vast starts. Wang Lin didn't know if this change was good or bad, but right now he felt intense pain in his body. Although his body and Celestial origin were in a state of fusion, the rejection between them still existed. Even the heaven-defying bead couldn't seem to stop and change this rejection. I could force Wang Lin's celestial origin and his ancient god body to fuse, but it couldn't dissipate the root of this intense pain. If this rejection force couldn't be resolved, then Wang Lin would be unable to display his full power. Every time he wanted to use his celestial spiritual energy, it would cause intense pain and be stopped by his ancient god body. He would only be able to display 20% of his power. However, just this 20% was enough for him to instantly kill a late-stage Nirvana Void cultivator. Wang Lin wasn't sure how powerful his full power would be, but he was certain that people like esteemed Nan Zhao wouldn't be his match at all. Similarly, his physical power would be stopped by his celestial origin inside his body. If this was all, it wouldn't matter, but what Wang Lin was worried about was that the rejection force was getting stronger and stronger. Once it reached a limit and erupted, his body and celestial origin would collapse. Even his soul and his everything would be destroyed. This rejection force was like a knife of death hanging above his head, and it could fall at any moment. Wang Lin quickly thought of everything as he sat there. He thought of everything he could to get rid of this rejection force, but in the end, he couldn't think of anything. Although the celestial ancestor mark looked like it had collapsed, only Wang Lin knew that it wasn't gone. Instead, it had fused with his 7 ancient god stars, causing golden stars to appear. This had never appeared in the ancient order before. Several days later, as the madman spoke excitedly, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes. 2 rays of golden light erupted from Wang Lin's eyes and landed in the eyes of the madman. The man suddenly stopped speaking when the 2 rays of golden light stared at his eyes. He looked confused and scratched his head. He then looked at Wang Lin and carelessly said, "Hey, why do you have my clan's golden eyes? But it is only light gold, that's not enough. Look at this, kings." As the madman spoke, he took a deep breath and his cheeks bulged out. Even his body began to swell, as if an airflow was going into his body. As he swelled up, his dim eyes became sharp and 2 rays of golden light erupted from his eyes. Under this golden light, this madman seemed to become a different person. He was filled with a shocking sense of majesty. How is it? How is it? This king is fierce. The moment the madman spoke, that sense of majesty disappeared. Just you wait, this king can be even more fierce. The madman inhaled and revealed a smug face. His body inflated and crackling sounds echoed. His thin body rapidly grew and became filled with flesh and blood. At the same time, that sense of majesty appeared once more. However, just at this moment, there was thunderous hiss and a stream of air was ejected from the madman's buttocks. His body was like a deflating balloon. The golden light in his eyes disappeared and he was no longer as fierce as before. The madman felt embarrassed and scratched his head. His face turned slightly red and he shook his head. Accident, this was an accident. Wang Lin looked at the madman with a complicated gaze. The madman became even more embarrassed under Wang Lin's gaze. He held his buttocks and retreated a few steps. Accident, I already said it was an accident. Why are you looking at me like that? Strange, this king rarely releases gas. Does someone miss me? The madman rubbed his buttocks with his right hand and subconsciously sniffed his right hand. Wang Lin let out a sigh. This madman had given him a great fortune, but it had also nearly killed him. In truth, if not for the celestial ancestor print, Wang Lin's body wouldn't be in such a sorry state. Although the rejection force would still be there, it would not be as fierce as it was now. Forget it, what's the point of trying to argue with this madman? Wang Lin shook his head. What he was most worried about was this rejection force. While pondering, his right hand reached out at the void and a spatial rift to his storage space opened. A surge of devilish energy erupted. The ancient devil he had obtained in the ancient tomb appeared before him. This ancient devil's body was already petrified, but when Wang Lin obtained the ancient order inheritance, it was changed back into flesh. The 6 devil stars were rotating in its right eye, but right now this body had no soul, so it was still a corpse. Wang Lin stared at the 6-star ancient devil. He originally planned to condense an ancient devil soul for his ancient devil body, but facing the danger of the rejection force in his body, he changed his mind. His eyes lit up and he pointed forward. The ancient devil trembled violently, and as it trembled, its large body shrank rapidly. All of its flesh, blood, and devilish energy all gathered toward the stars in its right eye. In a flash, the ancient devil's body disappeared and gathered inside the 6 ancient devil stars. Wang Lin grabbed them and they flew toward Wang Lin's right eye. In an instant, the 6 ancient devil stars entered Wang Lin's right eye and were imprinted below the golden thunder. The moment the ancient devil stars entered his body, Wang Lin took a deep breath. His hand formed a seal, his body trembled. The 7 golden ancient god stars between his eyebrows flashed. The rays of golden light seemed to enter his right eye, Then they rapidly fused with the 6 ancient devil stars. The madman retreated not far away and stared at this scene. He stared at this while rubbing his eyes and muttering, to use the ancient god as the body and ancient devil as the avatar. This is the 3 clans of the ancient nation. The 3 clans of the ancient nation. The G country has the demon as their root. The Sh country has the devil as their root. Strange, he is clearly a member of my celestial clan and he has the immortal body that only me and my big brother have. How can a cultivator from the ancient nation have it? Strange, so strange. HMPH, who has the guts to give a cultivator of the ancient nation our immortal celestial body? If my big brother knew of this, he would be extremely angry. This can't go on, this king must find out which bastard dares to be so bold. The madman became serious. This video will end here.